Austin, Texas, famous for barbecue, live music, and now the comedy capital of the world. The Kill Tony podcast is filmed every Monday at Joe Rogan's Comedy Mothership. If you've watched the show, you've heard the name Bonezeye. Meet Adrian Cavazos, an Austin-based leather craftsman. On this episode, we discuss how he turned his passion for leatherwork into a successful career, creating custom joke books for the biggest comedy podcast in the world. I'm John Joffrey, and this is the Outliers, Bonezeye. Bonezeye, dude.
What's up, bro?
What is up, man?
Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah,
man.
you too. I've been following you for a while. I'm just like so interested in you and your work and just so glad to have you. So let's just jump into it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Where did you get the name Bonezeye?
Bonezeye was created with my little brother and I. At the time, I was kind of more into taxidermy and specifically like bones. I just liked the underneath part of it all. I want to say probably 99% of the taxidermists, they would like just throw most of the bones away. Bonezeye was where the bone meets the eye. So like, for example, this one was trash. It was a raccoon skull, just trashed out. And I got a trashed out Barbie and, you know, just added a couple of things to it because this isn't trash. The animal still lives on even after death, and which was my whole vision of like Bonezeye and the taxidermy thing was just seeing roadkill and noticing how people usually just walk
like
by
discard
and
it,
disgust. And then that story kind of just ends for that animal, you know?
Now tell me, how the hell do you take like your passion for leathercraft to literally being featured in the biggest comedy podcast in the world every single week?
There was one night my cousin was like, dude, let's watch this new show. It's super funny. It's called Kill Tony. I was like, okay, this sounds cool. I'd never heard of it before. I've always loved comedy, but I didn't understand it. So I was sitting there watching it. I think it was episode 500. So Joe Rogan was the guest, and I was like, holy shit, Joe's on here? Tony? What the f?
Yeah, you're like, this is a big deal.
This is a big deal. How long has this been here? He's like, they just moved to Austin. They've been in LA. Literally just making these connections. And then I hear Tony say, you won a Ridge wallet. He gave away a Ridge wallet to somebody who just did a good job. And I think there was like $500 in it. That guy ended up needing it so bad because his car broke down that same day. And there was like this magical moment where I'm like, Tony is a magician. There's something up with this guy. Like I say his name, I get chills. I'm like, what's up with this show? There's energy, there's this. And then the next thing I saw was William Montgomery at the very end closing it out, and he reads off of a little paper. That's when I clicked the idea.
Damn.
I was like, I wanted to make wallets for Tony. I was like, oh, I'm gonna make these wallets. I'm gonna be this leather guy in Austin, and I'm gonna make belts and this, and like basically what the craft already is doing. I just left the taxidermy industry. I don't want to be a cowboy anymore, bro. So I was like, I'm gonna make a joke book, because when I need to remember something, I write it down on my hand. I write it down on paper. I do not write any notes on my phone. My phone is a toy. And I'm like, am I gonna use my notes on my phone?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work for somebody else. So I started just designing a few things on paper. And as the episode's going, I hit my Instagram and I was like, hey Tony, you know, my name's Adrian. I live in Austin. I have this idea. I want to make you guys some joke books. I can make 5 of them. Just let me know where I can drop them off. And then I shit you not, that same night, got a reply. Come to the show on Monday. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Now I have to make these books.
Yeah. How was that scary? Was that exciting?
Yeah, because I just offered something I didn't have. They used to take me almost about 2.5 hours each book.
Wow.
So there's time at the beginning of this show where I was putting
learning?
mad 20 hours like for 3 or 4 books, and I'm like sweating, and then the show's about to start.
Okay, but like, how do you even approach designing your books?
So the first process is there's a local leather store that I've been using, and they sell everything raw. So when I go into the shop, they have these things kind of just like stacked up.
Yeah.
Basically what this is, it's the vegetable tan. So a vegetable meaning they use like oak and pecan wood or some sort of wood just to give it this natural color. And
this is almost like clean slate.
This is a clean slate. This is half a cow. I buy all sheets of leather in half a cow. So this is half of a cow.
How much does this cost?
Usually about like 130 to 180 a piece.
Wow.
So it's an expensive canvas.
It's not cheap at all.
It's not. And like that was something I learned like 6 months into making the books was, I'm giving these things away, bro. I'm not even selling these things. Like, this is just giving away.
You're basically paying to give them away.
Yeah.
But
sponsoring myself, advertisement, that was always like the, dude, don't give up.
Yes.
Don't give up. They actually like them. Tony likes them. What do I do? So I'm staring at this slab for a while, which goes to the next piece. The next stage was I just take a chunk off of this slab, right? So now I have just a raw piece. Here's the barcode for the cow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like they stamp them. That's all just super raw.
Wow.
Then I kind of like, at first it was like, how big do I make these books and whatever. It took a lot of engineering and a lot of trying on different pants because I've designed them to where they fit in every single back pocket.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm like, every comedian just needs to put it away, done. Something fast, something fast. So I just kind of start off by sketching with some lines. I usually use a Sharpie or a pencil. And I always use the side of the leather that I don't want to like show. Once I cut it out, I usually hand cut everything with this, just a regular razor blade.
Yeah, okay.
I put it on a mat, cut all my lines out. So now we just have a template, basically.
Yeah.
You have a blank book and what I kind of do a design with at first. And this is all just kind of self-taught. I learned that like when you scratch the leather, it leaves somewhat of a little bit of a line.
And this is like just surface level. Like it's not really like permanent yet.
No, no. Next step is to start hand carving everything.
Oh my God.
And there's a few tools that I use for that process, which is these tools right here. These are just all small little blades. Well, big blades, fat blades, but basically a small blade. Wherever your line is, you just start following it. So you gotta like hold this thing nice and tight and you kind of just commit. You find this is what the line's gonna be and you just commit to it. Now that's a cut. Next line. Very, very intentional. Every line needs to be there for a reason. And there's
you need to put a decent amount of pressure down
and there's a lot of pressure. So the next part is, you know, different sizes, different blades for this design. So it's like I use, for his abs, I go in and use this small little tool, and like the head is big, so I use the big fat blade. This just works best for me, right? Once I blade everything out, I'm like, now that's permanent, right?
Yeah.
Now that's like, I'm literally just cut the leather.
I mean, that looks awesome.
If the animal was alive, it'd be bleeding, basically.
Yeah.
So I always think about like, this is like, oh, you're starting like a tattoo on an animal, right? After that part is all cut out, then the embossing starts. This is kind of where you get like that 3D effect, where like you can leave the image flat, or you can make it look like it's kind of popping out.
3D.
Yeah, it starts getting 3D, and then it starts. You can start feeling it. Which,
oh my God, this is like, now you've taken it to the next level.
Exactly, which actually, like, as that happened, it blew my mind. I was like, you know what? I do love painting. I love charcoal, acrylic, everything. But what hurts me is like, once I sell that painting, it stays on the person's wall forever. These things, you can scratch, you can sniff, you can put it in your pocket, you can take with you. Like, once I'm finished with the book, there's magic in that thing, you know? There's not only blood, sweat, and tears, there's thoughts. It's like, everything is for a reason, you know? Like, besides it being alive at some point. So after you emboss and everything with the hammer, then you go in and you decide, do I want to paint it or do I want more of like a natural, you know, just leather kind of look? Both are super fun, but the tricky part is it's very, very unforgiving. So if this little bit of green gets marked on this side or a splatter, it's kind of like you either have to roll with it or restart. So this little pile is probably like almost 2 hours already. After that, I decided on this one that I was gonna paint it just because the neon, the black light at the show, when I put these books on stage, they're glowing, dude. It's
that's so
cool. Yeah, so like I always use this green. And once it's dried, I go in with my stain and I add my paper and it kind of ends up like this more antique. This look like it's been around for
like a wizard's notebook,
yeah,
you
dude,
know?
it has a very like witchy vibe.
Oh,
like,
I love this. And a lot of this, so you stain over all the colors.
Yeah, and that's another scary part.
Like,
it's always alive.
Yeah, that's what's
alive.
so cool.
Yeah.
And there's like, that's what makes it so interesting because each book is a new challenge.
Each is a new challenge. So it definitely was a challenge trying to get 5 made for something that I pre-agreed to and didn't have in the world yet.
Dude, that takes fucking balls.
It was
bro.
crazy,
I
bro.
love that about you. Like, and I wish so many more people would understand that, like, That's what you need to do. You need to put yourself in that situation because you're either going to sink or you're going to swim. If it's an absolute failure, you know, you missed out on that opportunity, but you'll never know if it's going to work. You know what I mean? So it's like all that fear is like, there's so much success just right on the other side of that.
He announced that I was like, oh, we have this new guy giving out these things, passed out 5 books. And after the show, he was like, dude, thank you. Like, that was fun. They loved it. You want to come back next week?
Oh,
and I was
my
like,
God.
Immediately the hustler in me was like, yeah, dude, I'll be there. I get in my car.
Yeah.
Now I have to make 5 more. Dude, how did I make these? I just forgot. Like, what process was this? I don't even have one to go home and like look at. I just gave them all to Red Band. I'm gonna go home and make them again. So like Monday, Tuesday, I'm in my shop, which was my garage at the time, just like cutting leather, sacrificing $200 of canvas every time, just like trying it. And Tony messaged me again on Instagram. Yo, dude, thank you so much for the books and stuff. Could you make a custom one for me? And I was like, well, if I made a Kill Tony one, yeah, I can do custom. Like, I didn't even think about it at the time. What do you want? He was, I want one for, I think it was his girlfriend at the time. Like, she's a musician, piano player, guitar player. Can you do something with that? I was like, yeah. What's your Venmo? I was, this. Bing, he sends me $100. Like, nothing's even in the world yet, sends me money. And I'm like, dude, what's up with this Tony guy? He let me go do this thing. He's just letting me be me, bro.
And he's paying you.
And he just paid me. Now that I'm making decisions for myself, I'm getting paid already. And like, okay, now I'm gonna really put some thought into it.
Dude, I wanna like slow down for a second because
for sure, bro.
That is an insane moment. Like,
he
not only like helped set the value of your book on like what you think it should be, like what someone's willing to pay for it.
Exactly.
He basically like just made you into like a professional joke bookmaker. You got paid to do it. That's what being a profession is.
Bro. The advice I got from that immediately was he sees my worth. This is just weird. This is my first time selling an art piece without art even existing. And I was like showing off my work to my family, with my cousins who live with me. I was like, hey, dude, check this out. I just made this. He's like, you know what would be funny? If you showed up with a smaller version of what Tony asked for, just to trick him, because you gotta get the trickster back.
Yeah,
Tony does this to people, and he loves the show. So he was like, how do we get the trick, like the main guy, the roaster? How do we roast the roaster? And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna make the same book, but the smaller size, right? And you're gonna go with me to the show, and we're gonna drop these off to Tony. So there I go. So like, let's say this was the book with the guitar on it. Had this in my back pocket, and I went to the green room, like, nervous as yeah, it's Bonezeye. You know, Tony said I can come. Yeah, I got the books, and he's like, come in, Bonezeye. Hanging out, and I was like, hey, Tony, here's that book that you wanted, and he was like, oh, like, and then Red Band's like, doing his sinister laugh, and I'm just like, my God, did I just make myself look like a f***ing idiot? And then I'm like, just kidding, bro. Here's your other book. And I gave that one to him, and then laughter started. And he was like, if you're gonna do it right. You misspelled this. And I'm dyslexic as so I had his girlfriend's name misspelled on the small book, and then I was like, oh, you can't roast the roast master. The entire rest of the show, thinking about like, man, if I wasn't dyslexic, I would have gotten him. I'm not just making small ones, Tony. Now I'm gonna make small ones, like mini ones for the people who suck, because like, if we're just gonna give these to all the comedians, like, dude,
they're not special, you know?
Yeah, man, they're not special anymore.
How can you hand all those out?
Yeah, so the good ones are gonna get this. The great ones will get the golden ticket. The ones that suck sometimes get nothing.
Yeah.
But like, they'll walk away with a small book. You got some small jokes, small ideas. Go home and write down your shit.
Dude, and this is so amazing.
People always think that it's just decoration. I'm like, no, like if you go to my truck, there are at least 2 or 3 in there at all times for grocery lists and ideas and motivational word of the day.
No way.
I write in this thing's myself. I write more in the small ones than I do in these. I get really detailed. This one says, you suck. So just to let the person know, you suck, but you still get something cool.
Yeah,
we like you, but not a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and if you don't get anything, that should tell you something too.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, man. So this is something that like I like to end with, and just like leave the people watching with something. So someone is in a career that they're not fulfilled in. They're dreading every day they wake up. They feel stuck. What's just one piece of advice that you can give someone like maybe that first step in chasing their passion and just like going out and make something happen?
Oof, that's really tough to do because I was hoping to find that out while I was going through it. You know, I'm hoping to have somebody tell me what to do as I was going through it. But what I learned, man, you have to trust your gut mostly. If you feel like you don't belong, chances are you usually don't belong where you are. So if you hate your job and you're feeling all of that, your body is telling you to run. That's that fight or flight instinct that comes up where you just gotta run. I would say just run with it. Trust your gut. Find a supportive group of like, if you're into it, whatever hobby or craft it is, whatever you want to pursue, you have to have a good grasp of like, yes, this thing does make me happy. And the only way I can get to that is if I ditch this other thing.
Right.
You have to commit yourself 100%. Honestly, just committing and like telling yourself that it's for you. Like, because if you're doing it for somebody else, you're already losing. 100%.
Perfect, dude. Thank you so much, bro.
Dude,
It's been
thank
a
you,
joy,
man. This was fun.
Yes, dude.
Like I said, I forget that I make all this stuff
Right?
until I'm actually showing it. I'm like, oh damn,
You're
I'd
like-
buy all this if I was at a
Yeah,
store.
right?
But I make it, so I just go home and
Dude,
make more.
same. That's amazing, dude.